Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation and a member of the Yuma County Historical Commission, and I'm a consultant. And I really believe historic preservation is a key to economic development in our community. And I think unless we really start to truly embrace historic preservation, we as a community are really going to lose an invaluable resource. And so I call this presentation A New Downtown, but what's it cost? I think it's really great to start by looking at historic images of Tucson. This is Congress Street in the 1920s, and it has everything we're trying to bring back. It has a streetcar, it has bicycles, it has pedestrian traffic. This is another great photo looking west. In fact, just to the right on the screen is the building that we're standing in. This is a great image of our dynamic urban core. Before urban renewal, this is Roy Place's Plaza Theater, and there were plazas and restaurants and incubators for small business. This is a wonderful picture that shows all of the historic urban core that, in the next photograph, we systematically destroyed and replaced with a convention center and governmental buildings. So I think the images of downtown Tucson during this period are really, really incredible. I mean, systematically, block by block, we evicted people from their homes and tore down our historic legacy. A great image of what we did. So I guess the question is, have we as a community learned from what we've done? And I think if we look at the last 5 years and we look into the future, we'll see maybe we haven't. This is the thrifty block on top of the town. It was an early 20th century building built in 1910 to 1930. There was an Art Deco balustrade, fenestrated details, and of course this was demolished in 2004 by the city of Tucson at a cost of $500,000. It was sold to a developer for $100, and it sits as a vacant lot. This is an early 20th century commercial building at 296 North Stone Avenue, built in 1920 across from the Toole Avenue warehouses that are now in the auction block. This was demolished for a new port complex, which has now been indefinitely delayed, and it's a vacant lot. This is the 4th Avenue underpass, one of only 100 structures and buildings in Pima County that are individually listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It was built in 1916, and of course it was demolished for a new underpass. It was demolished to bring the streetcar to downtown, but most importantly, it was built so a land developer could get more land. This is the Sanjin Warehouse, the Corbett Tin and Paint Shop. It was originally the Arizona Cigar and Tobacco Company at 300 North 6th Avenue. It was a listed contributing historic building built in 1930, and of course it was demolished because it was not taken care of and it's in the way of the Lynx Freeway project. This is the Santa Rita Hotel in 1917. The architect was William Curlett and Son. Also built the architect who was responsible for building the Hotel Congress and the Rialto. In the 1970s, the building was covered up with stucco. But rather than repair or restore this building back to its former glory and build it into an adaptive reuse project, it was demolished so TEP could have a brand new headquarters. Of course, it's now an empty lot. Warehouse 320 North 6th Avenue, a listed contributing historic building. This is just to the north of the Sanjin Warehouse, and this is a building that, although it's very simple, the demolition is anticipated because it sits in the right-of-way of the Lynx project. This is Tucson's other ice house. It was a cold storage building for the railroad. It was built between 1917 and 1930, but again, it's in the alignments of the Lynx project, so demolition is anticipated in the coming years. The next building is the Small Planet Bakery at 48 East 6th Street. It's a listed contributing building to the Tucson Warehouse, built between 1918 and 1940. It houses a wonderful local business, but of course it sits in the Lynx project corridor, so demolition is anticipated in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think our community has 2 possible paths and 2 possible futures, and I hope we'll look at 2 models. The first is Pasadena. Pasadena is a community that has a downtown with identity, has a commitment to historic preservation. Historic buildings are celebrated, they're not demolished. This is an example of there's restrictive design guidelines, and there really is a sense of important urban space and pedestrian scale. This is an example of what that future could look like. Here are some more pictures of Pasadena. It's both local business and national business. Glendale and Long Beach is the alternative. Historic buildings are demolished to make way for new development. Postmodern buildings lack identity. Historic setbacks and streetscapes are compromised right and left to make development projects work. This is a view of that future.
Yeah, just kidding.
And this is a picture of Glendale, which has this great postmodern architecture that reflects the old that they tore down, and wow, literally has to call itself what it is. It's devoid of real urban context. So what's the vision for downtown? You know, can we have a downtown that is so small that it can be everything to everyone? You know, I hate hearing that we don't have the density to support a downtown. In 1920, Tucson's population was 20,000. Today, the population within a 3-mile radius is 106,000. 20,000 people supported this. I would certainly think 100,000 people could support a third of that today. So what's our future? That's a really good question. What is our future? You know, are we going to preserve the buildings that are important to us, or will we move with the Swinebeck Partners Congress Street design manual that was created and have postmodern, horrendous, nasty architecture? You know, I keep hearing we can't save everything, and I hear this from city staff all the time. But if we've cut into the bone, we've cut the fat. I mean, there's very little left, and if we don't actually take a stand and say it's unacceptable to continue tearing down our shared heritage, then we all lose.